11th Hour on Radio Sri Lanka, the program that illustrates the rediscovery of the glitz and the glam of the nation's most prominent entertainers and eminent personalities from the corporate sector. Join us
on every Mondays
at 11 a.m. exclusively on Radio Sri Lanka, 97.4 and 97.6 FM island-wide. A very good morning to all our dear listeners listening to Radio Sri Lanka, yet another program on 11th hour. I'm not going to give any introductions today since the topic itself is so artistic. It's packed with creativity in abundance. So let me dive in deep down into the topic since Raffealla Fernando is here with me to speak about the artistry in photography. A very good morning to you. I'm so excited purely because I'm wondering which pose to give you so that I can capture the most memorable picture.
I like what I see. You look fab.
Thank you so much. And the very first question to you, Raffealla, would be, anyone has the ability to capture a diverse range of photographs, and an artistic photography is certainly created in line with a photographer's artistic vision. Please explain your innovative thought senses with regard to the same.
Photography itself is pure art to me. So as a conceptualized photographer, I always try to develop a story. So I always look at my work as an abstract art, and I try to put a lot of work and effort into it, like how you rightly said. You know, when we have a thought process or when we have a concept, we always try to put it to paper. I try to put it to paper, and I think each and every artist is different, and then I try to make sure I do the brainstorming, and then again we create a mood board, and we try to work in steps so all of us are going to be on the same page. And that's very important because you are also working with a team, and especially it has to communicate well to your audience. They need to understand what you're trying to say, and it shouldn't be like a story untold also. So understanding your audience, and also getting your ideas, getting your concepts to communicate with your audience is very, very important. So that's how I look at it. When you have an innovative thought process, of course you need to give it to people. You need to transport them to some other place when you're trying to create a concept. So that's something that I always try to create in my photography style, because I specialize in conceptualized and fashion photography. So I look at it as a storytelling method.
Just inquiring though, how do you see the potential of this kind of artistic photography in Sri Lanka in particular?
We definitely have a market gap for conceptualized photography, because as a photographer who works locally and internationally, I do more creative work internationally than I do it in Sri Lanka. What I feel is we still have that understanding, this is a bit too much for us kind of mentality, and of course it's growing, it's developing, and it's different than before. Like 15 years back, it was a completely different place to talk about conceptualized photography, because
so people are embracing it.
They are embracing it and they love it, and even our clients nowadays, they want something different, they want something innovative. And
how does the corporate sector seek your assistance?
Well, I would say a couple of years back, it was something very foreign, I would say something very
alienated.
Very alienated. So now it's a very different concept. They themselves want to feature them in a certain way. They like to portray them in a different way. And
so has certain leading corporates, have they approached you?
Of course, recently I actually worked on a new calendar called DBL calendar also. So it's yet to launch. So it's featuring all the dynamic business leaders of Sri Lanka. So I tried to give my creative approach to it, and they loved it.
With a different twist.
Definitely a different twist. And I'm trying to get there. Like, it's something very new to me also, because
and new to the market as well.
And as a creative artist, I always try to bring a twist, because what's the purpose of doing it if not, right? If we can't bring something new, and we just don't have to be a clone of what we see. So I always try to do that, and that may come across as radical or quite different, but I
true.
think it has worked in my favor in that case.
And I'm sure you will have more to elaborate with regard to the following question. What is the chemistry of photography to you?
Well, I would say a perfect sync of my brain, eyes, and heart. And let me break it down to you why I say that, you know. So
Please.
when we work on something, so the first idea, it always comes from your brain. You think about it, you know, work on your concepts, and you put a lot of thought to it. And secondly, the eye, because that's how you click. You know, that's how you see the picture, that's how you see the angle, framing, composition, and all that. And
Surely my eyes would not see what your eyes would gather. Sadly.
Sadly, I wouldn't say
No.
sadly, but you know, I mean, but look at you. I can't talk like you. See, we are even there.
But still, photography catches the eye.
Definitely. And then heart, because you have to be in sync. At the end of the day, whatever you do has to be heartfelt, and that's how you can give it to your audience or your client, or you know, or your whoever loves your art. So I see it as a perfect sync of your brain, your mind, eye, and your heart. And for me, that formula works well. It works like magic.
At which age did you actually think that you have to get into this trade with seriousness?
Well, I've always been a very artistic kid. Even in school, you know, I was the first to have my first art exhibition at the age of 14. So I was also getting myself exposed to the international market as an artist. So that's how I started. And I was 14 when I just initially started. Then at the age of 16, because I'm a fashion designer by profession and I'm a fashion graduate, but photography I haven't learned. I'm a self-taught photographer. So with all that, I think I started properly at the age of 16, and I always wanted to do designing. And then I think back in my head, I definitely had the liking and the passion for photography, because I was in the school photography society, and I remember capturing, my friends differently. And
So the camera wasn't a new device for you anyways.
it wasn't, but my plan was not to create a profession out of it. But I think now I'm very biased towards photography than designing, even though I'm more educated, or I'm more
specialized in
fashion
field.
designing, but I'm more biased towards photography because that's something I really enjoy doing also.
And even today's discussion is based on this.
Photography. And of course, many people don't know that I'm a designer and a stylist, and that's like an unknown fact for many. So, but that's how I started, and this photography came way after, but still.
Anyways, it can be hard to narrow down precisely what photography is and what kind of photographs are still in the form of art. What's the difference between photography and fine art photography from your perspective?
Well, like I said before, for me, any form of photography is art, and there are so many categories, like to name a few, like wildlife, product, commercial, fashion, beauty, and food photography, and then fine arts photography. So fine arts photography is like poetry. You're trying to say something which is not very direct also, and you don't really show what you want to show. So that's a form of abstract art and poetry, and it's very subtle, it's very beautiful, and it's not for everyone. It's not everyone's cup of tea.
Could actually enjoy that as well and
True.
accept that.
True, because I know many photographers, they don't like fine art photography because it's a completely different art form and it speaks a completely different language altogether. So, but
And anyway, you're not catering to that market as well.
definitely, and that's not a commercial market. Only the art lovers would understand, or just spend time with abstract photography or fine arts photography. But it's altogether a beautiful art form. Me myself is a huge fan of fine art photography. I try to do it time to time, and I try to bring it into my photography style as well. So I have immense respect and love for it. Yeah.
Smartphone technology and social media have pushed the success of photography. Digital photography permitted photographers to contribute largely to the concept of modern photography and enable the photographers to produce high quality images. Do you agree with this statement?
Well, I would say I disagree because being a photographer, we always, use the camera and we try to produce photographs there, and and also being a woman from the modern era, so of course I do carry a smartphone, and me myself is the brand ambassador for a mobile photography brand. So then again, we do talk about mobile photography because not everyone can afford a camera. So me myself started from the mobile. My start of my career, I think, started with a camera phone. That was the first era of the camera phones, and it was like something very new for us. And I used to take pictures day and night because that was something very new, and you had something very handy. So to whenever
Highly portable.
Definitely. And sometimes when I even get a message from these young photographers, and they always say, I don't have a camera, I rent it out, but I have a mobile phone, but I have a really good mobile phone. I was like, there you go, you have what you need. Because to be a photographer, the first stage is you don't need a camera. What you need is like knowing your angles, knowing your light, knowing your composition. So that's you can be a writer, but first you need to learn how to write the letters. You need to know your alphabet. So that's
then
that's
you can coin up the rest of the others.
So I always say start from there, because it's not like before. The megapixels are high, the cameras are quite good, but it's not replacing, of course, the need of a photographer. You're not going to be okay if your wedding is covered by a mobile phone. You definitely need a photographer on set. So there is a different demand and a demand and a need for photographers with cameras. But nowadays I always do encourage people to use the mobile phone, because that's how I started to, because not everyone can afford cameras nowadays. The equipments are very expensive. So if you're renting out, always start with a mobile phone. That is a good way.
This is my final question. Photographers' popularity is still undeniable. Are there many opportunities for the photographers in our island nation to continue to discover and create amazing photography?
Of course, because 15 years back or like 20 years back, photography was something very new. People didn't really look at it as a profession, but nowadays everyone wants to be a photographer. And even if you go
including me.
That's amazing. I mean, that's an amazing profession to be in also. And just say you go to a restaurant, you order food by looking at the food photography. You look at the the entire world. It somewhat runs with photography, whether it's online shopping, whether it's buying a new phone, because you don't really get your hands on everything that you see on the internet, but you see the photographs. You see a beautiful top, you're like, oh, this is lovely, they have my size, I want to buy it. But you definitely communicated through the photograph. Even at a restaurant you go and you communicate with the photographs there, with the food photography. Like if you want to buy something, if you want to buy a certain pizza, you're not going to have a tasting session. You're definitely looking at it, oh, it looks good, I want to buy it. And even the same with eyewear, makeup, we always get sold out with what we see. And photography is a very indirect way to market your brand also. Whenever you want to, like, even at a hospital, you go and you see all the services. Oh, I see there's a ECG, I need to get this done. There's a MRI scan, but you don't really see the videos or the process. The first way to communicate is the static image. So
excuse me, I'm giggling away because many say that photography is also very deceiving.
It is very deceiving, because I, like, on a daily basis come across, like, we do all these model shoots, and then they many people come to us and be like, oh, I'm not as good looking as this model or something like that. Then we just sometimes say, honey, listen, there's a lot of Photoshop also on the skin work, and nobody's born perfect. Technology. So no one is born perfect. We do have our flaws. So it is quite deceiving. It is very commercial, and it does a lot of I would say good things and bad things to people.
Even my opening lines when I met you, I said that I look very unpleasant in a picture.
Oh yeah. So many say this, and then like it photography is a lifestyle. Like when we were outside the studio, the first thing was like we need to take pictures. So it is a lifestyle for many, and it is very heartfelt. It's very connected. We try to capture our memories and almost everything. So. That's the whole circle of photography, and it's never ending, even from the days since the photography or like photo shoots were introduced. This happens. So even to get a air ticket, you look at the pictures. Oh, is this what we are getting and all that? So I think it communicates a lot, and it's very important, and I think creating opportunity is very
Definitely
easy.
it's a very important segment
Also,
in current presence.
That's true. And then creating opportunities shouldn't be hard. What I'm saying is, if you need something, you can work for it. It's definitely hard, but back in the days it was a male dominated industry. Now it's male centric, so we are getting there. And female photographers are like making their way, male photographers are making their way. So I think
everybody is creating their pathway with a trend.
Definitely. So we have opportunities. It's just we need to know how to grab it and how to
set your respective standards.
Definitely. I completely agree with that. So it's not like unreal standard, but definitely we have opportunities. It's just we need to figure them out. We need to find them and make them work out for us.
It's very strange when we get into a discussion when it is all to do with creativity. The time which is ticking is not even noticed, but unfortunately we'll have to conclude this discussion, because we were narrowing down into all these pathways, adding more artistic twists to this beautiful topic which says photography. Thank you so much for being on the show, Raffealla Fernando. I am honored to have you on 11th Hour.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
11th Hour on Radio Sri Lanka, the program that illustrates the rediscovery of the glitz and the glam of the nation's most prominent entertainers and eminent personalities from the corporate sector. Join us
on every Mondays
at 11 a.m. exclusively on Radio Sri Lanka, 97.4 and 97.6 FM island-wide.